So this is Meliz Cooks Lockdown Edition Part 2, and we are going to be making Sütlü Börek, an absolutely delicious phyllo pastry-based dessert filled with a semolina custard, and it is divine. Okay, so before we start cooking, I always like to have everything laid out and ready, and there are separate elements to the dish which I want to talk to you about. You've got a syrup, you've got the semolina-based custard, and you've got the phyllo, which I'm keeping in the fridge because I don't take it out, it dries up really quickly as soon as you open the packet. I'm not making homemade phyllo. We might be on lockdown, but ready-made phyllo is the way I'm going with this one. The first thing that we make is the syrup, because the syrup needs to cool down before we pour it over the hot pastry when it comes out of the oven. So the syrup is just water, sugar, cinnamon stick. I've got some rose water, lemon juice and honey. Now the next part that we make is the actual semolina custard filling, and into that goes milk, sugar, semolina, egg and ground cinnamon. We've got some melted butter and some a vegetable-based oil of your choice, vegetable oil, sunflower oil, whatever you prefer, and that is used to butter the sheets of phyllo and then to pour over the pastry once it's done. The pastry is in the fridge because I'm going to leave that fridge cold until I'm ready to use it because it dries up quickly, so we've got to be quick. A bit like my börek that's also on YouTube if you haven't made that yet. And the last part, once it's all cooked, I normally put either some ground almonds or walnuts with some ground cinnamon in there mixed together, sprinkled on the top, and a bit of icing sugar. You can leave it plain, you can do that, you can put some pistachios on it, it's up to you. But we're going to start with making the syrup first. So I've got all of the syrup ingredients in this pan. That's the water, sugar, honey, rose water, lemon juice and the cinnamon stick. And I'm going to let that bubble away for about 10 minutes. It's on the lowest setting, but I want it just to thicken up just slightly. And it needs to cool down. It needs to cool down completely before it hits that beautiful hot, buttery, flaky phyllo pastry as it comes out of the oven. We need cold syrup, hot phyllo, and it's going to be absolutely bomba. Mwah! I can't wait. Okay, so for the custard, and I know you can't see me, but I want you to see the pan. For the custard, I'm going to start by heating up the milk first. So I'm not going to add the rest of the ingredients in yet. And once I've got a little bit of warm milk, I'm going to add it to the egg so it doesn't scramble when it hits the custard mixture. So it just warms it up a little bit. And then I'm going to, once the milk is warm, I'm going to add the semolina and the sugar and the ground cinnamon until it's all fully dissolved. And then I'm going to, right towards the end, just whisk in the egg really, really quickly, just to thicken it up. So now that the milk has warmed up a little bit, I'm just going to add, and you're going to have to work quickly here, so just keep whisking the egg as the milk goes in, just to warm up that egg without it scrambling, so that when it hits the custard mixture, it doesn't scramble. That's the last thing you want. This isn't scrambled Sütlü Börek after all. I give that a good mix, and that'll be absolutely fine now. So now I've done that, and the milk is getting there. What we're going to do is we're going to go in with the remaining ingredients. So semolina, fine semolina, sugar, and you can use caster or granulated, it's fine. It's going to dissolve, so it's not a problem. Start whisking, and the ground cinnamon. Whoop. And ground cinnamon. And it will gradually start thickening up as the milk heats up. Okay, so I'm sure you can see now, well I hope you can see, the milk is starting to come up to the boil, so I'm just going to turn the heat down slightly because it's all really thickening up, and I'm going to turn the heat down, and this is where I'm going to whisk in the egg really, really quickly, really quickly. I know it's been really, really whisk, quick, 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 quick. Take it off the heat, and it's done. Don't stop whisking for a bit. And once it cools down, that's when we're ready to use it. It will still keep thickening up once you're not whisking it as well. So just keep whisking for a bit, just for that egg. Keep it going round. Bit of elbow grease, never hurt anyone. and then you're good to go. Okay, so before I start assembling the Sütlü Börek, I just wanted to talk about a couple of things. And the first thing is how to make this into a vegan dish, because it's totally doable. I'm going to start with the custard first. So I've got milk and egg in there. Take out the egg, it's fine. It will still set because of the fine semolina. So just use maybe an extra 10 or 20 grams of semolina that I use in the recipe, and don't add the egg. As for the milk, I've used semi-skimmed milk, but you can use oat milk or sweetened almond milk, and that will be fine. Most shop-bought phyllo pastry is vegan anyway, so not a problem. The next thing is the syrup. So in the syrup there is honey. You can omit that and replace it with agave syrup, not a problem. I've done that before with baklava and it works absolutely fine. And the last thing is butter. Again, take that out and replace it with a vegetable-based spread. Melt it down, use it in exactly the same way, and it'll be absolutely fine. So just before you start rolling your pastries, your Sütlü Börek, and before you kind of do anything, just make sure your tray is also buttered a little bit so that they don't stick when you try to take them out, and so that they're extra buttery, why not? Okay, so I've got my ready phyllo here and I'm going to work really quickly. So I'm going to open it up, and sometimes I make these a lot bigger than I'm going to make them today. So today I'm going for a horizontal lay and then cutting the phyllo into thirds without me ripping it apart. Right, there we go. So sometimes I just cut straight down the middle, but I'm going to make slightly smaller parcels today. Like I said, let's work quickly. So let's open it up. It's stuck a little bit, this one. Open it up here, and then roughly going into thirds. So I reckon around there. One more here. And then what I'm going to do is take 2 sheets at a time and then cover the rest of them. Wow, that was pretty even. Cover the rest of them with a clean tea towel. So I'm going to take 2, put those there, and just cover these ones so that they don't dry out really quickly. And again, a little bit like my börek, you've got to work, making a mess, got to work really quickly. So just butter the first sheet. Forgot, add the oil to the butter. So butter the first sheet, like that, and then lay the next one on top. Butter that one. Just got butter in the custard, but who cares? So when I've made these in the past, I've just cut the phyllo down, like down the middle horizontally. And today I'm making slightly smaller ones. And you can just do whatever you want really. Some people make it as a pie and just layer up the phyllo and then put the custard mixture in the middle and then add more filling. So it's totally up to you, but I'm going for these little parcels today because I have to say the ones down the middle are pretty hefty and not for the faint-hearted. So, you know, if you want to kind of just have smaller, slightly more bite-sized pieces, then these ones are the way to go. Give it another brush of butter right here, and then seal that up and pop it in your tray. And we're just going to repeat this with all the remaining bits of phyllo, and then we're going to pop it in the oven, which I've preheated to 170C fan or 190C if you've got a conventional oven. And that will go in the oven for about 35 to 40 minutes. Just keep an eye on it. I like mine quite brown, so don't be afraid to leave it in a little longer. I like to have a crispy phyllo. I don't kind of want those, you know, really soft, spongy, white looking layers in between. So just keep it in there a little longer if you want to have a nice golden brown, crunchy top, yet lovely syrupy filled bottom, which is perfect. Right, there we go. Okay, so all that's left to do now is to pop these into the oven. My oven is fan assisted, so that's 170 degrees centigrade. If yours isn't, then it's 190 degrees centigrade. And I'm going to leave them in there for about 30 to 40 minutes until they go a lovely golden brown colour on the middle shelf. Okay, so the Sütlü Börek have had about 40 minutes in the oven now, so I'm going to take them out and I'm going to very quickly pour this cold syrup that we made, the very first thing that we made, all over that hot, beautiful, crunchy, buttery phyllo pastry. We've got to work really, really quickly. I'm going to try and do this so you can see. You can hear that sizzle. And I'm going to let that cool down. Just pull that last bit over. I'm going to let the börek cool down completely before we serve them. But while they're still sticky and a little bit hot, I've toyed with whether I'm going to put pistachios or almonds and walnuts, and I'm going for some almonds and walnuts, and I'm just going to put a little bit of those on each one, and then I'll just dust them all with a little bit of icing sugar once they've cooled down, and then they're ready to serve. So if you enjoyed my video, please click and subscribe.